If the Raiders do not fire Luke Getsy, then Antonio Pierce does not deserve to be head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know how you can watch this team continuously call plays the way that they have called plays this season. I don't know how you see a first drive, 10 plays, 70 yards, and go away from everything that has worked this entire game. I don't want to hear Aidan O'Connell this. I don't want to hear anything. Don't get me wrong. The Raiders played bad today. They look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're 2-4 for a reason. How this team ever beat the Baltimore Ravens, I have absolutely positively no idea in that regard. But we got to get one thing straight here. If Luke Getsy is calling plays week 7 against the Rams, Antonio Pierce deserves to be fired. If Luke Getsy is on that sidelines doing anything next week, every single coaching member of this team doesn't care about the Raiders organization. I am asking on behalf of all of Raider Nation, we got Josh McDaniels fired last season. I will start off every single video, and I mean this. If I send out a tweet, you guys comment, fire Luke Getsy. If the Raiders do something on their press conferences, you comment, fire Luke Getsy. Every single video I put out, I want you to comment, fire Luke Getsy. If you want the Raiders to fire Luke Getsy, click that like button. I will make it my mission this week. Every video, I will start off this show, every single video this week, with fire Luke Getsy. You have so many other guys that deserve to call plays over him, and I know that there's a lot that went wrong with this game. The NFL officiating should also be investigated for how bad that game was, and a lot of things went against the Raiders' way. But let's try to control things that we can try to control. If the Raiders want to roll out Luke Getsy again, then I hope Mark Davis takes off just win, baby, and I hope Mark Davis takes off commitment to excellence, off everything that belongs to the Raiders, because Luke Getsy is the opposite of commitment to excellence. Luke Getsy is the opposite of just win, baby. Luke Getsy has me missing Josh McDaniels. That's how bad down I am right now on this Raiders offense. Luke Getsy's got to go somewhere else. You got to fire him. I just can't simply take it anymore. I'm so sick and tired of feeling like this, and I know that I've been rambling. We haven't said anything. The Raiders got their ass kicked today, 32-13. You turned the ball over 3 times, and don't get me wrong, the roughing the passer calls in this game were just absolutely atrocious. My heart bleeds for Matthew Butler. I thought Davante Adams had himself a hell of a game, and the Steelers, they were rubbing a lucky rabbit's foot in this one, because the amount of just horrific calls that went the Steelers' way, it's a shame. But I need this, man. I need one word to describe how you're feeling about Luke Getsy. And if it's not bad, atrocious, fire him, I don't know what it needs to be. But I will make it my mission this week that the Raiders end up firing Luke Getsy. So here's what's going to happen. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I'm going to challenge the nation. I'm going to give a prize out. Whoever can comment, fire Luke Getsy the most while that ad is playing. Fire Luke Getsy. Fire Luke Getsy. I'm going to try to set a record on YouTube for the most fire Luke Getsy comments that we can possibly get it stirred. Don't get me wrong. A lot of things went wrong in that game. A lot of things went wrong in that game. But it's the same thing every week for Getsy. They draw up a really good play in that first drive. They have a very successful first drive. Alexander Mattison, 10 plays, 70 yards. Mattison's in 7 of those snaps, and it's rolling. And then next drive, nothing but Amir Abdullah. Next drive, it's Dylan Laube. I mean, the amount of first down and 10 runs, the amount of second down runs, the amount of running plays that we do just to run the ball, it's infuriating. Does Antonio Pierce deserve blame? He deserves a lot of blame. Like that Amir Abdullah touchdown. And I think Abdullah probably would have been in. And I don't have a problem with the Raiders trying to hurry up to the line and then trying to run the ball in. But like 3rd down and goal, shotgun with Amir Abdullah run up the middle and he fumbles. I mean that's an offensive play call that deserves to be fired on the spot. Luke Getsy, you and I, we've never met. And you could probably kick my ass in real life. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. I would walk up to Luke Getsy right now. I would point my finger directly on his chest, and I would say, you are an embarrassment to every offensive coordinator in the National Football League. How Luke Getsy has a job is absolutely mind-blowing to me. I don't know how a guy can be as bad as what he was in Chicago and then continuously has a job for this Las Vegas Raiders team. Antonio Pierce, you're the head coach. Tom Telesco, you're the GM. Mark Davis, you're the owner of this team. I promise you, if the Raiders do not fire Luke Getsy in the next 24 hours or 48, I'm going to do everything in my power to make it happen. And I know, I don't know there's nothing I can say about this game because I'm just so spent. Mentally, I'm done trying to watch this team go out there and try to play football games because they're not an NFL caliber team. Like, if you want Luke Getsy to be fired, subscribe, because when that guy is fired, I promise you this, we are going to rally. We are going to party our freaking dicks off. And I know this, it's going to be a show that you don't want to miss. Hell, I'm excited for when the Raiders fire Luke Getsy, because that's going to give me something to actually celebrate right now. And you could look at a lot of other people. You can look at Joe Philbin. He's got OC experience. You can look at Turner. He's got OC experience. Edgar Bennett. He's got OC experience. We got guys that have college football OC experience. You could name anybody right now, but we can't continuously have an offensive coordinator with the offense that we have play calls like, it kind of reminds me of a 12-year-old the first time that they ever turned on Madden. And I know that being an OC is not an easy job in the NFL. But, it's getting to a point where it's almost a comedy show. I sit down at night and Alex goes, what do you want to watch? I might turn on Luke Getsy's play calling instead of turning on Tom Segura. Instead of turning on insert your favorite comedian down there below. Instead of George Lopez, right? I would rather watch Luke Getsy call plays because that's the funniest thing that you're going to try to watch grown men try to do. Luke Getsy, bro, do me a favor. Just pack it in. Save yourself the embarrassment. Pack it in. Please, for the love of God, pack it the F in. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. And I know this. Prize Picks, I love Prize Picks. And even though my Prize Pick did not hit today, it's I don't even know why I even do anything with Raiders players on offense anymore. But I know that when I do at least put in a lineup, and I'm going to put a Prize Picks lineup in for the Mets and Dodgers game tonight. Let's go Mets, am I right? PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly. After you play your first $5 lineup, PrizePicks, run your game. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get on the action in sports in over 30 states. California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas are included in that. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half, doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup alive. Now, we've had a lot of people tune in to today's show, and I know Zoo's been an upset fan. I'm an upset fan too. Raider Nation deserves better. Point blank simple. If Antonio Pierce is going to be a head coach that yells, Raiders, fire Luke Getsy. If Mark Davis cares about his family name legacy at all, you fire Luke Getsy. If anybody cares a little bit about the Raiders that can make a decision in that place, you fire Luke Getsy because Raider Nation deserves a lot better. What up, Lamont? People really thought we had a shot this year. I did too. I'll admit, a lot of the injuries have kind of added up, right? We've had a lot of injuries. No doubt about it. But I think what you're really seeing this year is when you have arguably the worst quarterback play in the NFL, and then on top of that, you add a head coach that does seem to be a little bit over his head right now, / you bring in an offensive coordinator that was bad with his previous regime. I get frustrated because, Luke Getsy was bad in Chicago, and nobody that I thought was intelligent wanted Getsy to come to the Raiders. But, Antonio Pierce is trying to go up to the podium every day that he lets Luke Getsy call plays, and AP's trying to tell me that 1 + 1 is equal to 5. It doesn't. 1 + 1 = 2. And every day Luke Getsy goes out there and calls plays, it's going to be a bad play. Let's go to Dom. I drank too much, just need to get beat by the refs today. The refs killed us today. And, the Raiders probably would end up losing this game, even if the refs weren't as bad as what they were. But when you have Getsy as your offensive play caller, when you have, the quarterback play that we have, when you're out the amount of starters that we're out on both sides of the football, you got to get a few plays that go your way. The NFL, I know, is not going to investigate the refs because unless we're the Kansas City Chiefs, nothing's going to happen about it. But, today was a bad officiated game, and I think even Steeler fans would admit that. What up, Twinkie? Put Mitch in as OC. I don't want to be the OC. Let's go get an OC that knows how to be an OC. If you want to make me anything, it's a GM. Kid Cupid, Mitch, It's the kid. Appreciate you. Mark has to sell the team. He's not going to sell the team. Mark Davis cares about making money. And this team right now is making a lot of money. And they are now up to probably a top 7, top 8 team in terms of billions of dollars of what that team has brought. And it's why I think Mark Davis is going to tell somebody to draft Shedeur Sanders. What scares the hell out of me is if the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick, I think the Raiders would pass on Cam Ward. I think the Raiders would pass on Jalen Milroe because Mark Davis shows me all he cares about is money and cents. And with that being said, the player that's going to bring in the most money for the Raiders is Shedeur Sanders, which is why I think Shedeur is going to be the Raiders quarterback next season. Let's go to Mako. I'm tired of losing, but still Raider for life. Bro, everybody here watching is in the same boat. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But you know what also I'm sick and tired of? Luke Getsy. Got to get rid of him. Got to get rid of him. Toby, who we selling? Luke Getsy. Blacklist. Fire the loser Getsy. And am I in for the Brock Bowers jersey? You're in one time. Everybody gets in one time. That's what it is. No. Dude, that's bad. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, you are. Michael, what should the Raiders do about turnovers? I know AOC had that INT in the 4th, but the fumbles are bad. The turnovers are bad. We also got to be honest with ourselves. This is a bad football team. Like, it's a bad football team. Like, the Raiders are going to have a top 5 pick, whether you like to admit that or not. And the sooner I think you come to agreement that the Raiders are one of the worst teams in the NFL and that the Raiders are going to have a top 5 pick, you're going to sleep a lot better at night. Like, I know this. In years past, I would have showed up to this post-game reaction show and I'd be screaming my head off just because I expected more. I don't expect anything from the Raiders. I expect the Raiders to lose every single week because you have bad quarterback play. Your offensive coordinator's terrible. We got a lot of injuries right now, and the amount of guys that make business decisions on a regular basis, like Jack Jones, bro, like I don't know how Jack Jones can talk what he does and then goes out there and plays and just totally gives up on so many tackling efforts. It's an embarrassing thing. This is a Raiders team. This might be the softest Raiders team that has ever put on a Raiders jersey. Real talk, it's the softest Raiders team I've ever seen out there. No leadership from top to bottom, and fire Luke Getsy. Is AP on the hot seat? If AP doesn't fire Getsy, the answer is yes, man. Like, and Getsy's going to be on the hot seat from a lot of other people. I don't think that the Raiders end up firing Pierce. Now, if you don't win another game for the rest of the season, which I don't think is actually that impossible to think about, the Raiders legitimately might not win another game the rest of the year. If you told me they win 2 games, I'd go, all right, yeah, you probably got Luke Getsy as your OC the entire time. And I feel defeated. I feel like I got the shit kicked out of me. That's literally how I feel right now. But the Raiders fans also got to understand, like, if you have an opportunity to get Ben Johnson, right? Like, if you're in the top 3 picks, top 2 picks, you have the number 1 overall pick, you can't keep Antonio Pierce. You got to go out and try to get Ben Johnson and let Ben Johnson run this team because, you know, the Raiders were bad last season with Josh McDaniels. Raiders almost look worse this season, guys. Ben Getsy is the reason we lose. He's not the only reason we lose. We're definitely shooting ourselves in the foot. But I would love to see what this team looks like with an offensive coordinator that doesn't literally try to just sabotage its own offense. Frank, should we trade Adams for Michael Penix Jr.? I don't think that there's any good quarterbacks in this year's draft. I think there's a lot of good QBs in this year's draft, if I'm being honest. And if it was Adams for Michael Penix Jr., you also have to throw in a first-round pick. And I'm not giving up our first-round pick because that looks like it's going to be a top 5 pick. Caleb, spam Raiders media accounts with fire puke Getsy. Every time the Raiders post something this week, seriously, Instagram, Twitter, fire Luke Getsy. I'm going to be one of the very first people in there. Make sure you guys are in there with me. Blake, Luke Getsy has to go this week after AOC played way better than Minshew AP isn't the problem. AP is part of the problem. Like, you can't say everything that you're saying here and not say AP is part of the problem. He's the head coach of the football team. AP definitely deserves a lot of blame. I do think AOC played better than what I expected. I know he threw a pick, but, like, this game is not going to be a game where we can learn anything from just because of all the horrific things from the NFL refereeing side, from the Luke Getsy play calling side, from the mistakes we made. I mean, you can't expect to win football games in the NFL with the amount of turnovers that the Raiders had this week. It's just not going to happen. Fife, I'm fighting cancer, but watching this team play is currently the toughest thing I've done all week. Fife, man, I'm praying for you, dude. That's a tough one. I love you, man. Josh, Luke Getsy deserved the last place pick. If I had Luke Getsy's phone number, I'd send him a butthole pic. I would send him a real butthole picture. If I had Luke Getsy's phone number, I would ask right now. I would put my phone number on Twitter. I'd put it in the chat right now, and I would ask all of you to send me all your butthole pics. That way I can make a folder, I can make a zip file, and I could send 1,000 butthole pictures to Luke Getsy. That way he knows how I feel about him. Bobby, it might be illegal. I'd still send it. At first, people blame Guard Dog. Now people blame AOC. You can't blame Aidan O'Connell. There's no way you can watch this game and say that was a bad game by Aidan. I mean, you can't say that. I'm not going to say it was a great game by Aidan O'Connell, but it might have been the best quarterback game we got all year outside of the Baltimore Ravens game with Gardner Minshew. Like, I came away from this game knowing this. I want to see Aidan O'Connell with a different offensive play caller because we had the mojo going. The Raiders played well for a long time, and yeah, the refs kind of, shot us in the foot there a little bit, but let's get rid of Luke Getsy first, and then let's focus on trying to actually win football games because I don't even know what to think until Luke Getsy is gone. I hate Luke Getsy, man. If you want Luke Getsy to be fired, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. Every single post that the Raiders put out, I will comment, fire Luke Getsy. If you see me comment, fire Luke Getsy. I hope you retweet it. Hope you like it. Hope you share that message. The biggest overwhelming message that I will throw out there this week is we got to get rid of Luke Getsy. We got to get rid of him. Antonio Pierce, I'm looking at you. If you don't get rid of Luke Getsy, you deserve to be fired, and you are way in over your head. I'm telling you right now, if the Raiders do not fire Luke Getsy, or if they do not take away his play calling duties, I will be team. It's time to fire Antonio Pierce and move on because he's in way over his head. If Antonio Pierce is going to be the guy that says that he loves the Raiders, and he's going to be somebody that says, I grew up as a Raiders fan, and he's going to say all the things that he did. Well, how about this, AP? Put your money where your mouth is. Back it up a little bit. Get rid of Luke Getsy. You made that bed. It's time for you to lay in it. Get rid of him. I'm done. Fire Luke Getsy.